When you are writing task 2 for the IELTS test, do you know what the examiner is looking for in your essay? Hi, it's Jerry with Global Connection ESL. This video is going to talk about exactly that, what the examiner is looking for to mark your essay. And I know that you want to have a high goal. You want to get a great score on your IELTS test. Before we jump in, have you subscribed to this channel? If you'd like to know more resources that I prepare in the future, go ahead and hit that notification bell below, and it will let you know whenever I produce more resources for you. I want to share them with you. So, as an IELTS test taker and an English learner, here is a little bit more about how to prepare well for IELTS writing task 2. Let's shoot for a high score. So if you need to take the IELTS test, then I recommend that you aim for a higher score than your ability. Aim for at least a band 7, because many universities need at least a 6, 6.5, or 7 to let you in. So let's begin by talking about IELTS writing task 2 and what the examiners want. IELTS writing task 2 is an essay test that requires 250 words or more that you write in response to a prompt. But do you know what the examiner is looking for? So let's talk about what the examiner wants to find and will mark you on in the IELTS writing task 2. There are 4 categories that the IELTS examiner will use to mark your writing task 2 essay. They are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. Now these sound like big words, but let's break it down a little more simply. If you were to look at the band descriptors for writing task 2, you can download this from the official IELTS website, and you'll find that there are descriptions for each of these categories from band 1 all the way up to band 9. So today we're going to talk about band 7 descriptors for writing task 2. First, let's talk about task achievement. What really is task achievement? Task achievement is completing what you were told to do. Basically, it means that you wrote your essay and you addressed all parts of the task. You answer the question as it asks you to answer it. Also, the examiner will check to make sure that you have presented a clear position throughout the response. If you go back and forth and you say one thing one time and another thing another time without making a clear response or taking a clear position, then it will hurt your band score. So your essay needs to be clear so that the examiner understands what you have written. Also, when you've written your paragraphs, you want to be sure to present, extend, and support those main ideas that you have in your paragraphs. For a band 7, there may be a problem with overgeneralizing or supporting ideas that don't have such a clear focus, but they are much stronger than the lower bands. The second category that the examiner will check will be the coherence and cohesion. Well, what is coherence and cohesion? Really, coherence and cohesion is how well your essay flows from beginning to end and makes logical sense. So there will be a check of your logic. How logical is your writing? Is it organized with clear ideas? Do you have a clear progression from the beginning to the end? Also, the examiner will check for how you use cohesive devices. Cohesive devices help you connect from one paragraph to the next and from one idea to the next. These are subjunctive adjectives, good sentence structure, and such, but it helps to show the flow of your essay. And finally, in the coherence and cohesion category, the examiner will be looking that you present a clear central topic in each paragraph. That's why most paragraphs need to have a clear topic sentence that helps you to stick to a clear central topic in your essay. All right, the third category the examiner will be checking is the lexical resource. This is a fancy way for saying your vocabulary, how good your vocabulary is. And so the examiner will be checking for a sufficient range of vocabulary. This means, do you have enough vocabulary? It doesn't mean that you have to use the highest level words. You need to use vocabulary that will explain with enough variety and clarity and precision. This is for Band 7. You need to show a sufficient range of vocabulary. Also, the higher the band score, the higher level of vocabulary. And so that's why this says you use less common lexical items. This means that you use some of the uncommon vocabulary words that show a higher level of academic rigor. You also use them correctly. You have an awareness of their style and their collocations, such as that you can use them correctly. If you use big words but don't use them correctly, it will actually hurt you. And with Band 7, your lexical resource may have an occasional error. If you have the form that's wrong, you use a noun form instead of an adjective form, or you make a spelling error. That's okay occasionally, but you might compare this to a Band 5 where there are far more errors. All right, and then the last category is grammatical range and accuracy. This is all about your grammar. Do you use your grammar correctly so it communicates the meaning? So, in another video, I have talked about how to write complex sentences. There are 4 sentence types. I hope you check out that video to learn more about the variety of different types of sentences. So simple, compound, compound, complex, and complex sentences will make for a better essay when you use them with variety. And you must use them correctly. You also want to know that the examiner will be looking for sentences without grammatical errors. And most of the time, you have no errors. This, again, will be a little different than a Band 5 or Band 6, where there are a few more errors. Your grammar and your punctuation are controlled well. You use them accurately to show what you mean to say. So when you understand these 4 categories that the IELTS examiner is looking for, it will help you to grow in your confidence. You can take time to practice and work on these 4 categories and become stronger. Pay attention to where you're weak and work on those with more practice. And this will build your confidence. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the descriptions that the examiner will be using to guide his marking or her marking of your Task 2 essay. Was that helpful? Do you know what your strengths and your weaknesses are? Do you know what you're going to work on next? Before we close today, I'd like to ask you if you have liked, subscribed, and shared this channel. Would you do that for me? I would really appreciate it. In the next video, I'm going to provide more valuable information for your success on IELTS. Stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like access to other resources that are available on this channel, go ahead, look around, click on the playlists, and find something that will help you. I have many resources for improving English and improving your IELTS score. I look forward to working more with you.